What are the ingredients of a perfect book? Welcome back to Book Break, the YouTube channel where we try and figure that out. You know that feeling where someone asks you, what kind of books do you like to read? And even though you're such an avid reader, you kind of draw a blank. It's really hard sometimes to put your finger on what exactly makes a book a you book, because genre categories often aren't enough. It's way too simple to say that you like fantasy or that you like thrillers. Most of us have much more eclectic book taste than that, and so it's just not that easy to explain. So in this video, I'm going to try and figure out some of the ingredients of a perfect book. Sometimes it's about the characters, and that could be interpreted in different ways. Sometimes you know a book is a you book if it's got a particular personality type in it. So, for example, a character who is grumpy with a heart of gold, learning to see the world in a new way. If you like that kind of personality type, you would read Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. Or it might be that you like really morally grey characters, in which case you would love something like Vladimir by Julia May Jonas, which has a main character whose perspective on the world is very controversial and very hard to come to terms with, and that's what makes the book so brilliant. Or maybe it's less about particular personality types, more about the types of characters, the different perspectives that you're getting. Maybe something a little bit unusual. I'm currently reading Briefly a Delicious Life by Neil Stevens. I was inspired to read this because the narrator of this book is a teenage ghost. She has been dead for centuries before the book even starts, and so she is watching the world play out. The second I heard that, I knew I had to pick up this book. Sometimes it's not just about one character, it's about the relationships between characters that draw you to a book. So, for my example, I love reading books about sisters, and that could be anything from lovely sister relationships like Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen to really dark, twisted sister relationships like The Favourite Sister by Jessica Knoll. Or it could be broader. It might be that you just love dysfunctional families in general, which, by the way, if that's you, you want to read The Exhibitionist by Charlotte Mendelssohn. This family is chaotic in the best way. I think a lot of the time what can be really important to readers is finding characters with particular identities, specifically if those identities reflect you. So, for example, there's an upcoming book, Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie. The main character there is Cuban and bisexual, and that identity is a reflection of the author's own identity. And so for readers, particularly if you find yourself represented there, that can be really important if you don't often get to read those characters in books. Blackwater Sister has a lesbian Malaysian main character, and so it doesn't matter the rest of the book is fantasy. That might not be the most relevant part of a book, the most relevant ingredient to a book. It might be more that you're seeing your identity represented, and then you get to go on a fantasy adventure. So there's loads of different ways that characters might be really important in finding your perfect book. It also might be about the setting, and again, that can be interpreted in so many ways. So it might be literally about the place, it might be about the country that the book is set in. A lot of people have favorite countries that they like to read in, or actually it might be that you love books that are really sweeping and take the reader on a tour across loads of different places, different parts of the world. But equally, it can be way more precise than that. Maybe it doesn't even matter which country the books are in, you like particular settings. For example, books set on college campuses. I've got Disorientation here by Elaine Shade Chu. I've made a whole video recommending books set on college campuses. I will link to that below. Maybe you like reading books set in small towns. Dirt Town by Hayley Scrivener, a great example. Again, I have a whole video that I'll link below. If you like reading books set on islands, The Mercies by Kieran Millward Hargrave would be a great choice. And again, I have a whole video below of books set on islands. But setting might not just be about the place, it might also be about the time period, for example. So you might have a favourite period of history that you like to read in. A lot of people really love books set during the wars. Dear Mrs. Bird is set in London during World War II, and it's so evocative of the spirit of that time period. The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna has been really popular, and a lot of that is because of the setting, both the place and time. So this is set in Texas during the Dust Bowl, and so you really get transported to a very specific time and place. She Who Became the Sun is another book that has been huge, and this takes you to China back in 1345. So this takes you to somewhere totally different from the world that we are living in. Another ingredient that can be really important in books is the emotion that they give you and the emotion that they contain. So a lot of people love books that make them cry, for example, but it might be more specific. Maybe you love books about long lost love, Persuasion by Jane Austen, or you love books about longing, you love books about wistfulness and nostalgia. I have a friend who cries every time someone is proud of someone else in a book. Who knows what your favourite emotion might be? And then on top of all of that, there are always those random little elements, those bookish buzzwords that we just look for. So for example, a book coming out soon that I'm really excited about, I know a lot of you are really excited about, is Before Your Memory Fades by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is the third book in a series that started with Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And what is it that makes this book and this series so beloved to me and so many other people? So it's got the setting, it's set in Japan in a particular little cafe. It's got an amazing cast of characters. You meet new people in each book, but there are some overlapping characters, and you really get to explore their relationships to each other. The emotions that come in this book are strong. I have cried at both books so far in this series because you get all of those emotions that I mentioned. You get the wistfulness, you get the wishing that things were different, which is all extra heightened by the fact that this book is about time travel. So that is the extra element that really draws me to a book, is time travel. You can guess what I'm going to say, but I do have a video on time travel which I will link below. And this book has such a particular form of time travel which makes it really fun. So there's so many rules. You have to sit in a particular seat in the cafe, and then you can travel back in time, but you still have to be in the cafe. You can't change anything, and even if you try, it won't work. And you have to get back to the present before your coffee goes cold. Otherwise, you will be stuck forever living as a ghost. Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney is a book that so many people have been so excited about for so long, and again it's got so many of these little magic ingredients. The characters, it's about this dysfunctional family all being brought together, so people live for that chaos. The setting, it's set on a remote Cornish island that is completely cut off from the mainland as soon as the tide comes in, and that adds the extra little magic ingredient to that book, which is the locked room mystery. This is a very Agatha Christie-esque story where this family are trapped overnight, and one by one they are being killed off, and they don't know who is doing it, but it has to be someone in the island because there's no way out. The Double Life of Daisy Hemmings has got loads of those magic ingredients. So the setting, again, this one is set in Cornwall, but it's got two timelines. So there's Cornwall in the 80s and then London in present day. But the particular magic ingredient that I think has sparked people's excitement about this book is that it's about fictional celebrities. So Daisy Hemmings is a famous actress who is just now writing her autobiography. We've seen that ingredient work so well in books like Daisy Jones and the Six, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and of course plenty of others. I do have a video linked below about books with fictional celebrities. Trust by Hernan Diaz, which is now on the book along list, is set in 1920s New York, and that is a time and place that really captures a lot of people's imaginations. But it's also got the extra secret ingredient that Trust has a book within a book. That is always a delightful addition to any book. And of course, I do have a video linked below on books within books. So you see what I'm saying? There are so many elements that go into a perfect book. And what are you supposed to say when someone asks you what kind of books you like reading? Are you supposed to answer, I like books set in Japan, in cafes, with time travel, and a big cast of characters? We don't have the shorthand for this. But I would love to know in the comments below what your perfect ingredients are for your favourite type of book, and I will hopefully be able to link you to relevant videos, because at this point in my book break career I have made a lot of different videos here, so hopefully I've got something for everyone. And on that note, I will link here to a playlist of all of the videos where I've given out very specific book recommendations where people have written in and asked for their exact perfect book, and I've made it my mission to find it for them. So do click through and watch those, they're always a lot of fun, and I'll see you next time.